I'm Marissa, 29, from Scottsdale, Arizona. I met Jared through a professional networking group. He was confident, successful, and constantly talked about building an empire. We started dating, and within a few months, he convinced me we'd be unstoppable together. The night we met, I was presenting a marketing campaign that had doubled my client's revenue. As I finished my presentation, I noticed him in the back of the room, tall, impeccably dressed in a navy suit that probably cost more than my monthly rent. While others offered polite applause, he studied me with analytical intensity. "That was impressive," he said afterward, offering me a business card embossed with metallic lettering. Jared Blackwell, CEO of Nexus Innovations. His handshake was firm, confident. Most marketers talk in abstractions. You speak in numbers and results. I was flattered. At 29, I'd spent years fighting to be taken seriously in Phoenix's competitive marketing landscape. My portfolio was solid, but I was still just another employee at Mid-Valley Marketing, fighting for promotions that seemed perpetually out of reach. Jared asked thoughtful questions about my strategies, listening with genuine interest. When he invited me for coffee to discuss potential collaborations, I accepted without hesitation. Coffee turned into dinner, dinner into drinks. By our third meeting, the line between professional and personal had blurred completely. He was charming but intense. Every conversation circled back to his vision, disrupting the tech consultancy space with innovative business models. His eyes would light up describing the future he envisioned. "Most people think too small," he told me one evening as we watched the sunset from a rooftop bar in Old Town Scottsdale. "They're content with a comfortable salary and 2 weeks of vacation. I'm building something that will change industries." Each time we met, he'd drop casual references to his connections: investors in San Francisco, partners in New York, clients in Chicago. His Instagram showed him at exclusive events, shaking hands with people I recognized from business magazines. Everything about him exuded success. 2 months into dating, Jared started planting seeds of doubt about my job. "You realize they're exploiting you, right?" he said one night while reviewing my latest campaign. "These results would cost them 6 figures from an agency, but they're paying you a fraction of that." He kept saying things like, "You're wasting your talent working for someone else," and, "Come work with me, I'll take care of everything." At first, I resisted. My job wasn't perfect, but it was stable. I had health insurance, a 401k, colleagues I liked. But Jared was persistent, methodical in his approach. "Imagine the empire we could build together," he'd whisper, painting vivid pictures of our professional and personal future. "Your marketing genius, my business acumen, we'd be unstoppable." When my boss rejected my request for a raise, despite bringing in our biggest client that quarter, Jared was there, supportive yet subtly reinforcing my frustrations. "They'll never value you properly," he said, his voice gentle but his words sharp. "You're outgrowing them, Marissa. I see your potential even if they don't." Eventually, I gave in. I quit my marketing job and started helping him full-time with his startup. He never put me on payroll but promised equity and a long-term partnership. Said we were building something bigger than both of us. The first red flag appeared when I asked to formalize our arrangement. Jared smoothly deflected, saying we needed to focus on momentum and that paperwork would slow us down. He pulled out his iPad, showing me projections of astronomical growth. "6 months from now, you'll be looking at equity worth 10 times any salary," he promised. "Trust the process. Trust us." I believed him because I wanted to believe. Because his confidence was intoxicating. Because falling for someone also meant falling for their dreams. For 3 months, I poured everything into it. Late nights, strategy decks, social media campaigns, all unpaid. I created comprehensive marketing plans, designed the company's visual identity, built relationships with influencers and potential clients. I leveraged every contact in my professional network, putting my reputation on the line. Meanwhile, Jared was wining and dining investors, always too busy to define our roles formally. He'd return from these meetings energized, sharing snippets of praise but few concrete details. "They love what we're building," he'd say, pouring champagne without specifying who they were or what commitments were made. I noticed other inconsistencies. Sometimes he'd mention an office we'd soon lease in downtown Phoenix, other times it was Tempe. Investor names changed. Launch dates shifted. But each time I pressed for clarity, he'd redirect the conversation. "Marketing geniuses like you shouldn't worry about the financial minutiae," he'd say, massaging my shoulders as I worked late into the night. "That's what I handle. Partners complement each other's strengths." The manipulation was so subtle I didn't recognize it. He praised my work publicly while gradually isolating me from my professional network. He'd accidentally reschedule meetings I'd arranged with potential clients, insisting on being the face of these relationships. "Your talents are better used behind the scenes," he'd explain. "I'll handle the networking, you're the secret weapon." By the third month, I was working 70-hour weeks. My savings were dwindling. When I mentioned compensation, Jared would look hurt. "We're building our future here," he'd say. "Every dollar goes back into the business right now. That's what committed founders do." Then one Monday morning, he didn't show up to our usual planning call. I texted, assuming he'd overslept. No response. Or the next one. I called, leaving increasingly concerned voicemails. By Wednesday, his number was disconnected. His Instagram gone. LinkedIn updated to, "Pursuing new ventures, focused on solo growth." He'd ghosted me. No warning. No explanation. Nothing. I drove to his apartment in North Scottsdale, where we'd spent countless evenings strategizing. The leasing office informed me he'd moved out 2 days earlier, leaving no forwarding address. The betrayal hit in waves. First came disbelief, then humiliation, finally rage. I'd sacrificed everything, my job, my savings, my professional relationships, for someone who could discard me without even a goodbye. I spent a day in bed, alternating between tears and numbness, scrolling through our text history for clues I might have missed. There were plenty, all obvious in hindsight: his reluctance to introduce me to investors, his vague answers about financials, how he'd subtly discouraged me from documenting my contributions. At first, I felt humiliated. Then I remembered something: I still had admin access to every brand account I built. The realization came at 3 a.m., jolting me awake. In my role creating the company's digital presence, I'd built everything: the website, social media accounts, email marketing systems. And in the whirlwind of our work, Jared had never changed the master passwords I'd established. So I got to work. First, I downloaded every document, every strategy deck, every piece of content I'd created, evidence of my contributions. I took screenshots of analytics showing the growth I'd generated. Then I crafted a message. Not an emotional rant, nothing that could be dismissed as a scorned partner's vendetta. Instead, I wrote with clinical precision, focusing exclusively on verifiable facts. I posted a public farewell message on the company's official page. "As the former head of strategy and co-creator of this brand, I'm sad to announce my departure. I've been working unpaid for 3 months under false promises. The founder, Jared, has disappeared without fulfilling agreements. I didn't accuse. I just stated facts." And added, "If you're considering partnering with this company, do your due diligence." I scheduled the post to appear simultaneously across LinkedIn, Twitter, and the company website at 9 a.m., when investors and business partners would be starting their day. Then I went further. I created a simple, professional document detailing my contributions with supporting evidence, analytic screenshots, campaign results, testimonials from the clients I'd brought in. I attached this to my LinkedIn post with the caption, "For those requesting verification of my role with Nexus Innovations." By noon, my phone was buzzing constantly. Former colleagues expressing support. Fellow marketers offering job leads. And most significantly, messages from people identifying themselves as Jared's investors and business contacts. Within hours, the post went viral on LinkedIn. The business community in Phoenix is smaller than people realize, and news travels fast. A few investors messaged me privately, some had also been ghosted. One told me Jared had tried to pitch the company as a one-man operation. "He showed us marketing materials you clearly created," wrote one angel investor from Tempe. He claimed he developed the entire brand strategy himself. Another revealed something more damning: Jared had been shopping around variations of the business model to different investor groups, making contradictory promises to each. The professional reputation he'd spent years cultivating unraveled in days. People began sharing their own experiences with him: promises unfulfilled, partnerships abandoned, questionable business practices. Not anymore. The brand's credibility crumbled in days. Domains suspended. Socials wiped. And Jared? Still offline. 3 weeks later, I received an anonymous email from a disposable account: "You didn't have to destroy everything we built." I considered responding but ultimately didn't. There was nothing left to say. Instead, I focused on rebuilding my career, leveraging the unexpected network that had emerged from the ashes of Jared's deception. A month after his disappearance, I secured a position with one of Phoenix's top marketing firms, ironically, through a connection who had reached out after my LinkedIn post. My new salary was nearly double what I'd made before. Sometimes I wonder where Jared went or what he's doing now. Whether he found new people to charm, new dreams to sell. Part of me hopes he learned something from the experience, that actions have consequences, that people have value beyond what they can provide him. I may have lost 3 months of pay, but he lost everything else. His reputation, his business connections, his carefully constructed facade of success. The empire he'd been so obsessed with building collapsed because he forgot that real empires aren't built on deception. The strangest part? Despite everything, I'm grateful in a way. I discovered my own resilience, my worth, and the power of truth simply stated. Some nights I still wake up angry about the time and effort I wasted. Other times, I recognize that some lessons can only be learned the hard way. As for Jared's empire, sometimes I check if his LinkedIn profile has reappeared or if a new company with his name attached has emerged. So far, nothing. It's as if he's vanished completely from the digital landscape he once dominated. Then again, people like Jared rarely disappear forever. They reinvent themselves, find new territories, new victims. But next time, he'll know that some people don't disappear quietly. Some people fight back. And in the quiet moments, when I reflect on everything that happened, I wonder if revenge really brought me satisfaction. The answer is complicated. It didn't heal the wound of betrayal, but it did something perhaps more valuable: it restored balance. It transformed me from victim to advocate for my own worth. Maybe that's the real victory, not in destroying what he built, but in reclaiming what's mine. My voice. My work. My future.